Alright, I checked everything. So I guess it's time to get started on this. Hello. Today I will be... Oh, look at that. Remodeling an old model that I made in 2013. Hey Tudor, how are you today? Are you it's not that bad for you. It's how's your Wednesday? I was thinking it would be late in the day for you, but I don't think that's true. So as I'm saying, this is a very old model that I made. There are a couple of oh, that's okay. That's oh yeah, you weren't that far off of my time, so that's fine. This is an old model I made in 2013, based off a creature sketch that I made, and back in the day I was really happy with it, but I think I could even fix it up a little bit better, and especially the polypaint process that could also be improved on a lot. So I'll be trying and see what we can do on it. It's still perfectly symmetrical, which is good. Let's see in the other chat for a second. Because that is a non-audible chat that I also cannot show on screen, so I will be typing at some point. Alright. So I don't know what program or what version of ZBrush I made this with, but I don't think, or it might have been just in the Dynamesh time, but since I learned a lot more on how to use that one, I'm gonna duplicate this. Gonna save it again under its new document. So this is obviously a bit more of a lizard type creature, and the first thing I'm gonna do is very boldly remove the horns, which also means that I'll be saying goodbye to this little caterpillar creature. But let's duplicate it again, and maybe we'll be able to save it. Let's see. Yes. This, as you can see here on the geometry tab, this was definitely before Dynamesh time. So everything here, and you can also see it when I shift it around, when I move it, it becomes this really low poly model. which indicates that everything was underneath a higher subdivision. So I can just delete lower. Hopefully this, yeah. So this is giving me a clean slice, and I'm just going to redo the entire thing. Let's see. So I get my bearings for a second here. Actually, I shouldn't do that. I should be using a C-sphere, because the C-sphere is going to allow me to make those horn-like protrusions. Actually, the entire model when I first made it was made as a C-sphere armature. I think that was the brand new thing that I learned with this this model on how to use the C-spheres. Alright. So of course this gives me a little bit of room to experiment. I mean, I could give it these bull-like horns. Careful not to overdo it. Though I think that the original horn design kind of gave him a little bit of a triceratops, or you know, the crown shaped feeling. Come on. Okay. All right. Still a little bit less. Because I want to keep the soft flow of the crown. So what this is going to do is it's going to create an indent. I might not want that. I might actually go for the full-on Styracosaurus crown, maybe. A little bit of like that. What would happen if I add a... the third one? Just really, really small. Could be something. Might not be a lot at all, but potentially. And thank you for the hosting. That's awesome. Okay, let's duplicate that and let's leave that in for now. Because I'm also noticing how the back of the head, if you were to look at it in terms of the skull, it doesn't really have a lot of support for the actual horns. So we're gonna have to do something about that. I'm gonna give it a very, very luxurious 408 dynamic setting. So that should be more than enough to get what I intend to do today. See, this is kind of the parts that I'm talking about. These are polygons that are intersecting with one another. And I'm trying to smooth them out right now. Fortunately, I cannot put the resolution any higher or the tool effect. Yeah, I'm likely gonna be forced to just retopologize this. I mean, it's okay, but it's so I want you to have the same amounts of polygons, but I want you to hopefully clean this up. And hopefully not crash. That would be awesome. Alright. Yeah, this is gonna take a while. Not too long, but a little bit on the lengthy side. Because one, the Dynamesh setting is quite high, and it is quite a big model. It should be done any moment. Yes, there it is. Ooh, it really foobarred that one, didn't it? Hey. Okay. That's okay, that's alright. Maybe what we need is just to suffer a little bit. Okay. So I'm gonna try and get those details back in again. Alright. Yeah, that's okay, I'll forgive you for that. The important thing is that the difficult parts here, those are gone. The rest of this I can just easily fix. Just like so. Because I'll have to do the sockets where the horns come out of anew anyway. Doesn't really matter. Okay. So one of the things that was pretty cool back then, but has always annoyed me, that the mouth is a little bit banana shaped. I mean, I like that he has a really, really big nose area, but kind of looks a little bit frowny. Bit of frowny face. Also lacks a little bit of actual pronounced jaw structure. It's not really going anywhere. Okay. I am detecting a lazy mouse, which I don't need. Mouses may not be lazy here. But as you can see, it's getting a little bit of a problem area with the vertices, but it's all going to be fixed, because that's what Dynamish is for. Okay. So I believe I might have to get quite aggressive and just literally draw out the jawline here. It's a little bit of a bearded dragon look. So what I might want, I'm not exactly sure what I want actually, because you know it goes somewhere, right? I just have a quick browse at my my dragon sculpt for some inspiration. Yeah, might work. Actually it does. At least it's a good start. Okay, now I wanted to draw the lower jaw a bit more. Right. Alright, it looks kind of better. Where did my... Yes. Need to look at which brushes are better suited for this particular task. Because I've worked with Trim Smooth Brush a lot lately, but that is not quite the most effective tool at this point. Let's give that Transmute Russia another chance. See if it can redeem itself. No, not quite. Plenty of other brushes take its place. So what I'm doing mostly now is just trying to figure out how this jaw can be corrected in the best possible way. I mean, I have one advantage, that I'm never gonna model him with his mouth open. So that is never going to be something I have to consider, which is quite nice. Gonna look for some different music. Trying to fix up this area a little bit more. Right. Right. And then we had this area in the back. And I'm gonna leave this as it is. But I would just like for this area to be a little bit more pronounced. Same as this area, because this area is too flat. There. There. Now he has just a little bit more of that skull shape at the back. So is this area. This currently doesn't have a seat yet. Kinda makes me think of those Starbucks or barista type drizzles on top, like the caramel. With this brush, if you make those circles. Welcome to NoFX. You're asking me, do you have any tips on keeping hard edges, angles when lowering or zero meshing your tool? I believe there are some methods you can do that. What I would do is I would make a poly group that borders on the edge that you want to keep, and then Z remesh with the poly groups intact. So if you have, say, for instance, well, here the it's not really an edge. Let's get a bit more of that. Sharp edged. Look here. Okay, so sharp enough? Yeah, sharp enough. There we go. So I want to keep this edge. What I would do is I would mask out one side of it. And then go all the way to polygroups over here. And you say group mask. So what that does, in case anyone is watching and doesn't know it, it makes a selection, a group of the area that you masked. And then what you do is you mask the other side. And then you have your edge. And now what it should do when you go back to geometry and you select the Z remesher, you can actually tell it to keep the groups or freeze the groups or freeze the border. Freeze the border is when you have part of the model not visible or at a different polygon density. But you can say, well, I want to keep the groups and I want you to, you know, respect the groups that I have. Now what it should do if I click Z mesh for the fun of it, let's give it a second, because it also needs to calculate the rest of the model, not just the head. See? Now what it did is it made some holes, that too, but let's ignore that for now. It kept the edge that you told it to keep. In fact, it kept a lot of the groups, the outer extremities, and kept those intact. So that is a method you can use to keep those hard edges in hard surface modeling. Does that answer your question? Also, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. Also, I'm noticing that at some point I cut off something. That was entirely at the start of everything. What is lost will be lost forever. No, it won't, but it's also a very, very important lesson, by the way. If you work with subtools, make a copy of your subtool. Because I can show you right now. How much was cut off from it. If you're trying to sculpt organic like shapes on top of armor, you might want to consider doing one of two things, right? So you might just want to keep the lion face a separate object, so a separate subtool. So you can see the armor, but you're not actually modifying it. That is the most easiest way to prevent that from happening. That you start working on the piece of armor instead of the ornaments. But another thing you can do to prevent that from happening is if you want to make part of the model invisible. Remember those subtools, right? You can see that all these colors are polygroups. All these colors represent the polygroup, and you can actually make some of them invisible by, I believe it's Ctrl Shift and then clicking them. Yeah, Ctrl Shift and then left mouse button. This makes the polygroup that you had clicked visible and the rest invisible. If you click it again with Ctrl Shift and then left mouse button, it shows you everything else except for the polygroup that you clicked. And then you can even go as far as Ctrl Shift clicking another part and another part and another part until eventually, especially when making polygroups, you can just make a polygroup and then make it invisible and then go that way along and along until you're actually done. And then you shift click outside of your model and then everything comes back. So that is one of the ways you can prevent making changes or something that you don't want to make. And also I don't know the ZBrush core. I haven't looked into it, but Dynamesh, especially and merge tools in ZBrush, they make it really easy for you to just make subtool and subtool and subtool and make your model out of not millions of subtools obviously, but out of a lot of subtools. And then you can just merge them all at the end and then make one model of it. That really is not a problem. Polygroups are definitely a lifesaver. You should, because you can also use them to UV unwrap at some point, right? If you go to plugin, you have this plugin called UV Master, and you can make it unwrap based on your polygroups. So you can have your model in ZBrush, and then you can unwrap it just by making everything into a polygroup. So if I were to yeah, this is quite a big model, so I don't know if it's gonna accurately do it, but just to show you how easy it is, because I don't think this one has a UV map. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I want to UV unwrap this guy. So you can see that the nose area, this is one color, so that might be a little bit too much. Alright, very, very fast and very crudely. Alright. Always save before you do this, always save. Because depending on your system, depending on ZBrush, it might crash. So you go to UV Master, you can select the symmetry button, it's on by default, but you select the polygroups, right? Well, I don't have UV, so I don't need to use existing UV seams. I didn't control anything. Enable control painting is also a handy trick. You can have ambient occlusion to determine where the density is. So it checks where the shadows are of your model. And based on that, based on what it has the least amount of shadows, it's gonna give more space to that. But it might take a little bit of time. But yes, ZBrush has quite a robust quick save feature. It definitely saved my life a couple of times, but yeah, don't rely on it. Okay, so what I did now is, this is the ambient occlusion, right? So if you have a light source, this is where the least lit areas are. Alright, and then you select unwrap for the C tool that you have currently selected, or unwrap all for everything. Obviously, not gonna do that. Waiting for it to finish. I also do remember having a period of time where I think it was either Maya or 3ds Max at school that used to crash a lot. Also, Maya doesn't really handle a lot of polygons well, so it tends to crash from that as well. Because if you go from ZBrush with your model back to Maya, it's very easy to forget how many polygons ZBrush actually puts into your model. So if you don't decimate it, or if you don't remesh it back to a lower polygon count, Maya is gonna have issues. First-hand experience here. So it's still working. I don't know if you can actually see the cursor. The cursor is still... And like I said, with it's now showing me a loading icon. Sometimes UV master can be a little bit on the finicky side. So you think your program has crashed, but it's just taking a long time to actually do the unwrapping thing. It's just having a little bit of patience. Ah, there it is. Yes. I seriously hope not. 227 polygroups. I don't believe it. Ah, it goes fast enough. So what do you do, Nano? Do you go to school? Do you work? Do you use Maya professionally? I have some time to make small talk here because yeah, we're more than halfway there now. Do you have an image to show me? Is it somewhere where I can view it? Because I think, you know, lions on armors, that always works really well. Cool. Sounds exciting. Also, what kind of armor is it? That's also a good question, actually. I mean, did you mention that where you put the? I mean, you know, a lion sculpture on top of body armor. It's gonna be the helmet. It's gonna be the breastplate. It's gonna be the pauldron. It's gonna be the bracers. It's gonna be the shield. You know, where's this lion gonna sit on your armor? Come on, you can do this. Almost done. Yes, thank you very much. Oh wait, yes. Yeah, I don't by default have the. Let's see here. I believe I need to do something for that in order to have you share the links in chat. Let me have a quick look here. Oh hey, the title of my I should be able to fix that. The actual link. Oh, here it is. Okay. Maybe you can. Just give me a second. All right. Can you try the link again? A blizzardish gnome. Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, go ahead. Try the link again. So the UV mapping is done, by the way. To come back to what I was showing you here. So I can actually. Suddenly it has glasses. Okay, so my awesome poly paint job here. Really? Why is it not? No, it still says that the link isn't coming. Oh wait, yes, I found it. Twitch doesn't let it, but my chatbot says it's fine. That looks good. Let's see. You're using reference. That's a very good start. I'm a little torn between two things here. One is obviously you're trying to use reference that is like a real world lion. But on the other hand, I'm also realizing that Blizzard has these cartoonish, awesome, stylistic visual languages, and also a little bit exaggerated. Um, so you might as well try and go all out on that. Like maybe you can make the I'm not really familiar with the Blizzard gnome style, but you might as well, you have those little points, right? Um, is it okay for me to actually take your take your image to paint and doodle on it on stream? Is that allowed? Because I might have something of an idea that I'm not sure if you guys consider that or anything. All right. Let's have a look. While Krita is starting out, I made some really fancy, you know, Picasso great art on top of this creature. Now I did on the texture map settings, I did new from polypaint, and here you can see that it absolutely foobarred everything. It's not what I wanted, but that's okay. As in, it did not give more space, but then again, it also didn't yeah, receive any commands from me to actually tell it to give more priority to the head than anything else. So this one is on me. Right, so this is the texture of the entire model, and as you can see here, can I zoom in? No, of course not. Why wouldn't I? We have a little bit on the top of the head. We can see that here. We can see this is part of the eyebrow. And over here, realizing you cannot even see my mouse cursor. But this is actually part of the nose, the big area over here. So in ZBrush it actually looks like it's one UV map, but in reality it's not. Which is a very, very easy way to do this. Okay. So far I'm using polygroups to actually do the UV unwrap, and then, you know, if you want to say, well, I want the head to have more space on your UV map, you can actually tell ZBrush to account for that with that control painting, and then you can say, I think it's attract, and then you need to do stuff with this. But if you Google on YouTube for tutorials on that, you can find plenty of stuff on that. So your right. use this template. And then can I just drag this, insert this new layer? There we go. Okay, so here's your node. Now if I look up World of Warcraft armor, then let's see if we can have something that is representative. Not really 1, 2, 3. Anyway. So my idea was something you might be able to, because of course, you know, it's also a little bit visual language thing. You could, for instance, since you now have obviously this lion, you know, the ears. Can I have my symmetry? Yes, thank you very much. So, you know, you have your lion here. But an alternate thing which you could consider, because you have this going on here. What if you were to and then of course the armor might need to be modified a little bit. Then this is going to be the best cat ever, but you can tell I wasn't prepared to actually do anything drawing wise. And then this becomes a cheek. And then you have those things flowing into one another with teeth. Yeah, so you know, from the front side, it doesn't look like pretty much anything, but hopefully you kind of get the idea that I'm trying to. You could actually, and it would be easier probably in actual ZBrush, because then you have that a faster sculpting in all dimensions, but you could end up with because you're gonna have this anyway, right? This kind of chest cavity and stuff. So did you ever? I mean, yeah. because then you end up with these. I don't know. Was this something that you might have brainstormed on? I mean, wow, this is the worst cat ever I do, but there we go. They can hide a belt in here or something. That might just, you know. And then you have your also, if it's not something at all, then you know, just toss it. Yeah. I figured as much. That's okay. So your question then. Let's see. This is gnome. So I think this is definitely indeed, to come back to your original question, a validated place to put your lion's head. You might want to make him a little bit more fluffed up, as in a little bit broader. Depends a little bit on what kind of lion you're going for, I guess. I think you had some stuff, right? Some references. Definitely also keep in mind the position of the ears, because almost any creature that has ears, I think if they're really angry, they're gonna put the ears flat. Of course, with a male lion, you cannot see it. Why all the lions are finding male? You cannot see their ears at all. Like here, look at tigers. You know, the ears are flat. And here too. Do you have another tiger? An angry tiger? Here, this one. Really flat ears. I think that is important. So yeah, I know, maybe I know, look up a little bit more of You know, the front side of more cats. Though I do like these lines though. So that's kind of it. I don't really have anything else. Just remember, for visual language, over exaggeration is never a bad thing. You can always exaggerate just a little bit more on your stuff. Especially when you work with game properties and cartoon properties and stuff like that. That's more than fine. Let's see. See, it's not doing a lot here, is it? I think sculpting is one of the best things to do, because it's a very natural way of modeling, right? So you can really pick up stuff and move it around, and hard surface modeling is definitely possible. It's something that I'm also still learning. I'm not the best at it, and I wouldn't say I'm even high level at it. Of course, since you know it's very clay-like working with this, it's very easy to just make creatures and stuff. But yeah, I would say look up tutorials and stuff, right? I do that too. Just look up videos of how to make stuff, how to sculpt, how to model, and pay attention to what brushes are used. I made a hotbar for myself. Of course, you cannot see them; they're just hotkeys. But the tools that I have is, on one I have clay buildup, 2 I have mythology, 3 is Damien standard, which are the grooves. Those groove lines. Then I have the trim smooth brush, which is very useful for rocks and such. So it makes those kind of it's a little bit hard to see because everything is white now, but And then I have planar, which flattens everything. And I've crumple because I did some work on rocks. And crumple is kinda a nice brush because you just move it around and it crumbles up your geometry. Exactly what it says on the tin, right? So especially for natural rock-like stuff, it's definitely nice to use. Do you have anything else? No, that's it. Most of the time I'm just using the clay build up and moving stuff around and stuff like that. That's the vast majority of the stuff I use. Right? Gonna try and get rid of all the geometry I don't want anymore. It's obvious not doing that. So I will extract this. That's a good idea. Though you might have noticed that the occasionally saving file in progress shows up, which is ZBrush handling that for me as well. So like I said, it kinda I did not intend to start the music. It's not stopped for me. You still hear it? I upped the volume a little bit, maybe maybe it has something to do with that. Alright. I wasn't going to use the extract, I was going to use the split function. So I split the mask points. And I should. Cool. I have my own independent studio. I'm working on a couple of projects, but I don't have anything out yet. Although this was one of the older works of my personal portfolio. So I guess that qualifies as this being my studio stuff, but it's nothing I ever sold or something. I'm currently trying to figure out why I cannot get rid of all this stuff and just have the lower body. Wait, maybe it did something. Yes, 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 yes. That's it. I'm gonna keep it for now. Because I want the caterpillar as well. Okay, so we have the lower part of the body, and then we have a front and upper part of the body that is in need of a lower part. So I'm gonna save again, just to be certain. And I'm gonna merge everything together, and then hopefully we'll have the rest of the things back. So I merge it down. Yes. It's a non-undoable operation, I know. And Dynamesh is still active, so I should be able to yes. Now it's all one mesh again. This little side adventure gave it a very unique color pattern. But alright. Okay. I am going to consider myself pretty happy with this right now. And maybe just gonna do some poly painting. And there is something I want to try out. Because I downloaded a material that was pretty awesome from actually a really good ZBrush artist. I'm very impressed. Let's see. I should have it here somewhere. Let me copy it over to the folder. There we go. Let me answer another question on the chat for a second. There we go. Yeah, so I added some materials into the folder, and let's see. There we go. And I invite you to check out this guy, by the way. because he makes really, really awesome characters. Let's see. So I kind of want to get back to the original rusty appearance of the initial sketch. So I'm gonna do some, yes, they are very, very awesome. It's, if you want to learn from someone, that is definitely a person I would recommend learning from. In the meantime, I'm trying to build that ambient occlusion again. Because that's gonna be my second color, as in the crevices of the skin and stuff. It's gonna be a bit darker. Well, it's gonna take a bit of time. That's okay. But is it? Yeah, it's having a little bit of a... Alright, it should be... Is this better? Is this okay now? Yeah, it looks fine. Awesome, great. Alright, so that was definitely ambient occlusion that was bogging down everything. So note to self and note for if you're live streaming, do not use mask by ambient occlusion, do not use it. There we go. I cannot recommend that. So then we get all of this this funky stuff. But since we do have that right now, we can just because now we're gonna have to be very, very grateful with our gift here. Do not see ad. Hey. Click build up, coloring. Okay, so this is what it does, which is a pretty neat effect, but maybe a little bit too much of a density thing going on there. The music is gone. There. I also stopped that on everything started to lag. I'm a little bit on the search for a color pattern. So if you have any idea, feel free to pitch in. Because the original one was orange on the extremities. Like the back side, the crocodile back. But that was really basic palette paint from someone who obviously painted for the very first time. So I want to see if I could do a better job of that this time around. Of course, I'm still not very proficient with the polypaint tool. Of course, I did get better over time at doing this kind of painting stuff, but it could be better. In that aspect, I'm way better at painting metal. So you can see that the model has fused into itself here, but I am not going to try and salvage that. It's another thing where those separate subtools would have come in handy. But that would require me to remodel everything. I'm not gonna do that. It's not not one of those models that can just remodel with a grand amount of free time. is kind of working though. Might just be me, but I'm not too appalled by this. Do you do a lot of painting for, say, figurines or something, or drawing? Nano, or are you just modeling? So I think that it's quite enjoyable to actually also be able to do a little bit of coloring on your models. The stream is okay now, right? Yes. At least it is on my side. Yes, yes, I'm actually very interested in seeing it. If you want to share it, it's I'd happily watch it. Let me have a look. Yes, that does look like a step in the right direction. I'll see if I can get the original one next to it. Yes. I think there's still something a little bit maybe off with the way the you know, the inner part of the ear. But it might just be me. Let's see. Oh, this is Pinterest. Pinterest gonna allow me to have a look at this. I mean, I'm seeing tons of really adorable tigers right now, but yeah, there's still something missing on the top part of the face that doesn't really exude a cat-like property, but I don't really know what it is. So I definitely think you need to have a look at a little bit more reference there. Also, this is zebras, right? Yes. Yes, you are working zebras. Can't you just mask the border? As in, you know, right, with hold control, and then you can just apply a mask to your the area that you're working on. Your female video is private. Oh, right. I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus. Really, really? I totally overread that. Wow. I am so sorry. Nice detail on the on the what is it? It doesn't really at 55 seconds before the buggy car. Are all the textures made with Substance Painter? It's also some really clean topology on the airship. Nice, looks good. I have to admit I have yet to try it out actually. I haven't managed to do so yet. But I hear a lot of people talking about it. So I should really, you know, try it out someday. Before it's no longer the it thing to do. Was it? I'm forgetting what company it was actually. So you're probably not gonna be too bothered reminding me. Nice. Nice. Oh yeah, that was indeed true. Yeah, I really like it when companies of these kind of software actually go over to meetups and such, and you know, meet up and let people get to know them. I think it's a really good thing to do. It's the same with you know, Unreal also has a pretty nice base and meetups and stuff like that, which I'm also really happy with. Right, I'm noticing I'm a little bit on the cautious side here in the coloring department. It's you know, a thing from not being very proficient, that you start making the little the small baby steps. Really? Is it back again? I mean, it's just licensed royalty-free music, but it's really nice music. It's makes you really happy. I'll link you the playlist. I don't think those are in there. I don't remember. Not a fan of that. I'm unsure if I am at all familiar with French rappers. I don't think I am. I mean, I won't look it up right now, obviously. Melodic death metal. Well, what kind of bands would you say if you have to name a band? What would be your favorite band? Yes, I'm totally going to give him a little light colored nose. Flash God Apocalypse. I have never heard of them, but I am curious. Unfortunately, I cannot listen to them right now because YouTube will punish me for it. Well, that's great. I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. I also listen to a variety of music. I think it's actually nice because it gives you always something to listen to for every mood. You can just find something you like. Alright, so completely unintentional, this lizard suddenly has the softest nose ever. Just the most... You can just pet it for days. Alright. Right. So I'm gonna keep this for now, but eventually I'm definitely gonna have to add some glistening spots. Because he's getting a little bit of a horse-like appearance in terms of skin tone. Which you might not believe, but that's not quite what I'm going for. gonna try and see if I can give myself more polygons to work with. Maybe it breaks everything apart, maybe it doesn't. Well, it did do it, but I lost all my poly paint. So I'm gonna stay right here. Thank you very much. What's the hashtag you mentioned? The save a file, save a life? I think we should make that a meme. Or at least an official thing. The hashtag save a file, save a life. I know it's really easy to just, you know, forget. You end up just happily working and then suddenly the world goes boom. And then your files are gone. Right. So it's pretty obvious that there is a lower density of polygons here because I'm having a lot more trouble getting that eye socket correct. Yes. Well, especially, you know, with deadlines. If you have deadlines, say for an assignment or for client work, if you have to. On my monitor, the eyebrow is starting to look a little bit like perfectly baked bread, by the way. Then, especially if you are rendering something, or if you are doing some last touch-ups, or if you slacked off and then try to do your work the night before. Never do that, but hey, we all do that. We all did that. We all know what that's like. Then yes, saving often becomes so important. But it's so easy to forget. But the important question is, are you sure you should delete some of those 170 GNOME files. What if you enter into an error, or later on you're gonna find out, well, oh wow, I horribly screwed up with this. And then the last file that you have that you deleted, that's the file you needed to fix all of your mistakes. I mean, what then? So, can you afford to just delete some files? I mean, I'm a file hoarder, so I know exactly how that thought process goes. And it's a very, very, very difficult question. Who knows, it might even be the most difficult question. Are you going to delete something? Will you be needing it later? I mean, a correct answer would be just delete it. Well, you can say a lot, but this model is incredibly soft. Yeah, I use a lot of, you know, just regular old hard drives. Well, not old hard drives. Actually, yes, also old hard drives. That's not a good thing, but I'm trying to gradually migrate everything over to not old hard drives. So I don't actually use cloud services. Just so that I'm not dependent on them working or not. I know, I always picture this scenario where you just, you know, you want to work but you don't have internet for whatever reason. I mean, when would you not have internet? I don't know, but you might not have internet. Then you cannot access a file. I know, stupid stuff like that. See, so it does happen. People do end up without internet every once in a while. It is not an entirely stupid thing to think of that. It is true, the legends are correct. Yeah, I have no idea what that's like. Fortunately. I'm from the Netherlands, so I'm happy to report that I'm pretty spoiled with internet. I'd really hate it if that wasn't the case. I am not disappointed with the way this poly paint is going, by the way. So that would be a lot of things, right? Because everything has to deal with administration, right? This is the point where we are losing the awesomeness of ZBrush a little bit. Because this is pure vertex painting. And if you don't have plenty of vertices for it to paint on, you're gonna get those unclear lines, the smudges. Right? In case you're wondering why I suddenly shifted my posture, it's because I'm using my tablet monitor. Because I find that it's way easier to do these details by hand. Here we go. Also, that's something that ZBrush also does really well, using tablet input. So if you have a tablet of any kind, you might want to give it a try, especially if you're adding textures or anything. As you can see. Now I'm having a little check on the clock here. And I'm seeing that it's almost time for me to log off for today. Oh, classical music. Right. So it's still gonna cost a little bit more time. It's something that I can continue next week. But for today, I'm gonna call it done. There we go. So what I did today was I fixed up the head a bit more, gave it a start for some better horn protrusions, improved the jawline. Actually, I can just drag its original out into space a little bit more, and we can see that face looking a lot better, which is yes, this is good. So I'll be stopping the stream right now. Nano, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your questions. 3DS. I am a little bit, because 3DS. I'm answering the Nintendo 3DS, but that is not what you are meaning. 3DS Max, right? Maybe not. Because it's high poly and I don't really intend to make it low poly. I might just try and import it into the Unreal Engine and see if I can render it out from there. That might be a preferred way to go, because I do not have 3ds Max. Yes. that is when you say 3ds, that is what I think of. And that would be super cool if it could do that. But it can't. No, I have Maya LT, which doesn't have a render capacity. Yes, the best polygons and the most awesome next-gen graphics on a Nintendo console, yes. Although the Switch might, right? The Switch might be able to do so. Probably it can. So, yeah, I cannot render it through those programs. But what I can do is using the Unreal Engine. So I'm likely going to do that. But yes, thank you for hanging around. Thank you for the follow. I hope to see you again next week. Wednesday evening is my standard streaming evening, and I might usually stream a day in the weekend, usually Saturday, but I won't be able to make it this weekend. So yes, the next weekend or the next streaming day will be Wednesday evening. So yeah, again, thank you for hanging out, and I hope you had fun and that you learned stuff. I think you did. I hope I answered the questions that you had. plentiful enough. And I wish you a great evening and a great week. And a great weekend, because, hey, it's Wednesday, so it's almost weekend. And with that, I'll see you again later. Bye-bye.